So, welcome back. Today we're going to do case 2, where that is when we have one of each operator. So we can either have x plus a, x minus b in brackets, or x minus a, x plus b. So if you notice, the steps are exactly the same. The only thing that changes is this little part down here in step 3, where it basically says that, hey, we have a minus 2 term that we have to account for. So we have to account for that minus sign. So we're going to look at the example where it's expanding x minus a, x plus 2. So once again, we started off our first step where we're going to do this x times by x. So we get x times by x. Then we're going to do x times by 3. Right? So we have plus x times by 3. That's the first part of it. Second part is we'll do it in a different color just to make it a little bit easier. So second part here, now we have this minus 2, right? So we have to do minus 2 times x. So we add minus 2 times by x. And lastly, we have minus 2 times 3. So let's bring it all together. So our x times x is going to become x squared. X times 3 is going to become 3x. Then we'll do our second branch here. So we have adding a negative, I'll make a negative, and we have 2x, so negative 2x. And then once again, 2 times 3 is going to be 6, and that's going to make a negative, so negative 6. And we just have to write it all together. So once again, these middle two are going to combine because they are both single powers of x. So 3 minus 2 is just 1, or simply x, and minus 6. So once again, I'm going to show you the kind of grid method, we'll call it. Same exact thing, process that we're going through. So notice our expression is expand x plus 1, x minus 3. So we're going to start off with step 1. We'll draw ourselves our 2 by 2 grid. Step 2, we're going to write each term, including sign. So I think what's nice about going through each of these cases like this and breaking them up is you're going to see that, hey, as long as we apply our sign rules, then you really only need to remember one process. So it's just a whole bunch of practice. So step 2, we're going to write each term, including our sign, from the first bracket across the top. So we have our x on our first column and our plus 1 on our second. And then down our left side on our first row, we have our x from our second bracket, and we have minus 3. So we have that negative included there. So step 3, we're going to do our multiplication like we did last time. So where our row and our column meet, those two multiply. So we have x times by x, so we get x squared. Well, x times by 1 is 1x, or simply x. Then we have x and minus 3. So x times minus 3 is minus 3x. And lastly, just minus 3 times 1. Well, 3 times 1 is 3, and a negative times a positive is a negative. And once again, last thing we're going to do is add all of our terms together. So starting in the top left corner, that's my x squared. Then I'm going to write plus x. Then we'll work down just like we're reading a page to minus 3x and minus 3. So notice this time I skipped out the step of saying adding a negative because I think you're starting to get used to just seeing, well, if we're adding a negative, we're getting a negative. So why are we doing this additional step? So let's start to kind of cut out steps if we can. So we have to simplify this one last time because those two inside terms. So we'll just leave the x squared. Then x minus 3x is negative 2x and minus 3. So done there. And let's move on. So got a little bit of practice. So at this point, as always, pause the video and then we'll go through the answers here in a few. So welcome back. Let's go through the answers to these practice problems. So we have x times x, right? X times x is going to get us an x squared term. Then we're doing x times -1. So we get negative x. Then we have 1 times x. So we get x. And 1 times -1 results in -1. Notice, as always, we have to combine these two inside terms. But one's a positive, one's a negative. So our resultant answer will simply be x squared minus 1. We're gonna notice this come up later in another video when we come to factorizing, but I'll make note of it there when we get them. So next one we have x times x. Once again, x squared. X times -1 is negative x. Then we have 2 times by x, so we get 2x. And 2 times -1, which is -2. Then we got to look at these inside two terms. So we have negative x plus 2x, which is x squared, plus x minus 2. Third. So the third one we're going to do here, first term, once again, is just x times x is x squared. Then we have x times -2, which is -2x, 2 times x, which is 2x, and 2 times -2, which is -4. So notice those two inside terms again are negative and positive, same number. So we're going to get just x squared minus 4. So once again, it's this kind of expansion that doesn't include a single power of x. The next problem here, we have x times x at the beginning. So we're going to get x times x at the beginning, results in x squared. Again, x times positive 3 is positive 3x. Then we have -2 times x, which is -2x, and -2 times positive 3, which is -6. Looking at those inside two terms, 3x minus 2x is x, so we can write x squared plus x minus 6. And very last one we're going to do for this case, well, first term again, x times x is x squared, x times -2, -2x, 3 times by x, 3x, and 3 times -2, -6. And some of you may have noticed that it was just the same as our answer above because it was the exact same brackets, just in a different order. So once again, showing that it doesn't matter the order that we multiply. All right, so I'll see you in the next video where we go through the last case, case 3, where both operators are negative. So x minus a, x minus b.